thank you all for coming out today. We are going to be having some prepared remarks from our new city manager, Tonya Chapman, and also interim chief Stephen Jenkins. After some prepared remarks, we're going to be opening up for questions. Other people in the room today are some of our directors or, Mrs. Chapman's staff. We are a team here, and we got a lot of work ahead of us. So, without any further ado, Mrs. Chapman.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. As Peter indicated, I am Tonya Chapman, and I am the new city manager for the city of Portsmouth. I am honored and humbled to have been selected as their new city manager. I want to thank each of you for your attendance today, and I want to especially thank my department directors for their attendance as well. The focus of today's media conference is to discuss my aspirations, my qualifications, dispel some of the rumors, and I will close by discussing my first initiative for the city. Following me will be Chief Jenkins, who will afford you an opportunity to learn a little bit about himself, as well as provide an overview of some of the initiatives to reduce crime in our city. We will then be amenable to answering a few questions that are germane to the discussion. First, I would like to thank members of the Portsmouth City Council and the Portsmouth community for this opportunity to serve this city once again. I would also like to thank the citizens who continue to support me and encourage me. I would like the citizens of Portsmouth to know that I am here to work for each member of council as we serve our city. For it is our common obligation to make local government work for the good of the citizens of this community. The reason I elected not to have a swearing-in ceremony was because I did not wish to create any opportunity for more divisiveness within the city. Some have asked, why have I returned back to Portsmouth? I am a spiritual person, so the simple answer is, my steps are ordered, and it is through grace and mercy that I am here today. I know I can make a difference in the city. All I ask is for an opportunity, and may the work I do speak for me. My aspirations. As your city manager, my aspirations are to make strides in crime reduction, enhance economic development, ensure social equity for all, and create opportunities for unity within the city. As for my qualifications, as many of you know, I previously served as the chief of police, and I accomplished everything that a city manager and a city council would expect of a chief. As chief, we were able to reduce crime in this city. My first year, we reduced homicides by 52%. My second year, we reduced violent crime by 7%. And my third year, we reduced overall crime by 8%. We were able to diversify our police department. We went from 36 to 46% women and minorities within 2 years. And I created several initiatives focusing on building trust, accountability, transparency, community engagement, and officer safety and wellness, to name a few. I was a chief who instituted several of the police department's community engagement activities that are currently in existence today, such as the community walks, the reset walks, the Faith Behind the Badge, and the PAL Summer Camp. That's the Police Athletic League Summer Camp, to name a few. I implemented sustainable programs that yielded measurable results. Although most people know me for having served in law enforcement and public safety for over 30 years, that does not define who I am. My qualifications to serve as manager are not limited to those experiences. I possess a vast array of municipal and state government experience, excuse me, which affords me an opportunity to serve as your city manager. Please allow me to elaborate. My educational accomplishments include completing all of the requirements except my dissertation for my Doctor of Philosophy degree, my PhD, in Public Administration and Policy with a concentration in Homeland Security. I am currently writing Chapter 4 of 5 of my dissertation. In 2021, I fulfilled my concentration requirements and received a graduate certificate in Homeland Security. I currently hold a Master of Business Administration, which is an MBA, and a Master of Public Administration, an MPA degree, and I am enrolled in an Inclusion and Diversity Graduate Certificate program. All of my degrees are from Virginia Tech. As for my experience, in addition to serving as Chief of Police, I was appointed by Governor Northam to serve as Chair, which is the Director of the Virginia Parole Board, a state agency. I served as Deputy Chief of Police with the Richmond Police Department. I served as the Interim Director for the department, the Richmond Department of Social Services. And I was appointed by Governor McAuliffe to serve as Deputy Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security for the Commonwealth of Virginia, where my portfolio included the Virginia State Police, the Department of Corrections, the Virginia Parole Board, and the Commonwealth Services Attorneys Council. Prior to receiving a third Deputy Secretary in our office, my portfolio also included fire programs, the Department of Military Affairs, which is our Virginia National Guard, and VIM, which is the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. The departments employed approximately 21,000 employees with a budget. So as you can see, I have a considerable amount of municipal and state government experience. The city manager's qualifications. As you may be aware, there was a city manager process conducted in 2021 in which I did apply. However, I withdrew my name for consideration prior to the selection process, or at least I thought I did. I was then informed by the recruiting firm that I was selected to proceed in the process. I was later informed by another source that I was selected by 5 members of council to proceed with the 6th member indicating their willingness to support me. After giving it some thought, I decided to re-engage, but then I was told it was too late. Recently, I reviewed the job brochure that was posted last year. The pertinent experience requirements for the ideal candidate, as listed in the brochure, included experience in a racially diverse city or comparable organization, check. Commitment to working collaboratively with the mayor and city council, check. A high comfort level engaging constructively on issues of racial injustice and tension, check. Genuinely embrace civic engagement, transparency, honesty, and integrity, check. Comfortable engaging with citizens, local and regional leaders, and the media in an open and respectful manner, check. Possess strong budgeting and public financial management skills with the ability to make courageous recommendations, check. Possess a bachelor's degree in public administration, business administration, urban planning, or related field. A master's degree is preferred, check and check. At least 7 years experience in senior executive position of a municipal closely comparable operation, check. And finally, be committed to a leadership and staff that is inclusive, collaborative, and team-oriented. As you can see, through my education and experience, my qualifications meet or exceed that of the other city manager. Additionally, the salary range indicated in the job announcement was $200,000 to $225,000 plus or minus depending on qualifications. Therefore, my salary is at the low end of the salary range. As for rumors, I would be remiss if I did not attempt to curtail some of the rumors and accusations that have been alleged against me. These false narratives have circulated for over 3 years. As city manager, I should not have to address the topic of several I was not provided individuals to fire or a so-called hit list, nor have I been given anyone's agenda. These are rumors and false allegations. I am here to serve all 7 members of council to ensure their vision comes to fruition. Rumors continue to circulate that I was in the store and failed to intervene in a robbery. I was unaware of the robbery at the time of the incident. I later heard about the robbery when I went to pay for my items. I was off duty, shopping, and not in uniform. Again, I was unaware of the robbery that occurred until afterwards. This is a vicious rumor. Employee relationships. Another rumor that I must address is the allegations of relationship with an employee while chief. The rumor is unequivocally false. In my 30-year career, I have never had a relationship with someone that worked for me. It is not my character, and it is not who I am. Individuals have intentionally and maliciously attempted to sabotage my career over the past 3 years by making allegations such as these. Again, these allegations are vicious rumors and are false. Initiatives. On a positive note, one of the positive initiatives that I plan to discuss, my first initiative is called Rock the Block. Rock, R-O-C. Reclaim our community 1 block at a time. The initiative involves every city department and the community working together for the betterment of the community. It will consist of the following. First, we will select a neighborhood. We will start with the high crime areas. I will conduct community meetings to discuss the issues and concerns that are plaguing their neighborhoods. We will conduct a community survey in person and online. We will determine the areas of concern and how they want their neighborhoods policed. It is important to get the citizens' input, whether they want high visibility patrols or whether they want targeted enforcement on individuals that are wreaking havoc in their neighborhoods. And I want them to share if you care. That's a new slogan. Share if you care. Encourage communities to share information. The community has to be willing to share information about individuals wreaking havoc in their neighborhoods. They know who they are. This is important in order for us to make the community safe for all. Your information you can remain anonymous, you can contact the police, or you can contact my office directly. We will have community walks to assess the neighborhood and identify focus areas. Representatives from each of the departments will participate, and all departments will play a role. Some examples include behavioral health services could possibly hand out literature on mental health. The fire department could possibly hand out smoke detectors or do safety inspections on certain buildings. Substance abuse literature could be handed out, as well as Narcan, which is a drug to reverse overdoses, which is usually distributed on a weekly basis by behavioral health services, the fire, behavioral health services, the fire and police department, along with educational literature. Police can do high visibility patrols or distribute cameras, which will be touched on later. Code enforcement will be looking for dilapidated houses, grass overgrown, etc. Libraries can participate by having book distributions for kids, and social services could do something like checking on children in need of services. Other city services, such as replacing burned out streetlights, pothole repairs, identifying youth or young adults for the trades program at TCC or our POW summer camp, just to name a few. It will be an all hands on deck approach. For a 30-day period, the entire city will dedicate resources to that neighborhood and report on the services provided and the outcomes. Then another neighborhood will be selected to focus on the following month while ensuring maintenance on the previous. Again, high crime areas will be the initial focus. This initiative will be conducted in conjunction with the crime reduction initiatives steered by the police and sheriff's departments. The neighborhoods with the largest reduction of violent crime at the end of the year will be rewarded for their efforts. I cannot stress enough that the community is an essential element to crime reduction. The police cannot be everywhere at once. The community must share, if you care, information about your community. As the leader of this city, all I ask is for an opportunity to do the job that is before me, and let's work together to achieve measurable results. I assure you that I am focused and steadfast on the mission before me. Again, I thank you for this opportunity to serve the city of Portsmouth. I will now turn it over to Jenkins, who will give you a little bit of background information about himself, talk about his crime initiative. Thank you.
Good morning. Tough act right there. So I bring you greetings from the Portsmouth Police Department. My name is Stephen Jenkins. I'm currently the Interim Chief of Police for the City of Portsmouth. This morning I wanted to give you a brief introduction and to who I am and talk about some of the, not only the issues that we face within the department, but also some of our initiatives that we are rolling out and that we will continue to tweak to hopefully make an impact on some of the violent crime and other issues that continue to plague our city. I came to Portsmouth Police Department in 2003, full-time. Initially, I started as an auxiliary, which is a free employee. I volunteered, put myself through the academy, and at that point, I liked it so much, I decided that I no longer wanted to do my job as a probation and parole officer in the city of Norfolk, and I came on here to Portsmouth as a patrol officer. I spent a few years in patrol before transitioning to professional standards, which is better known as internal affairs. I spent a number of years there before transferring to property crimes as a detective before being promoted to sergeant and being transferred back to uniform patrol. I was there approximately 6 months before I was transitioned back to criminal investigations, where I served as a property crimes sergeant, later on becoming in charge of our major crimes unit, which oversaw robberies and homicides. During that time, we experienced a significant reduction in solving some of our crimes that occurred, specifically the homicides. We worked very well with our Commonwealth attorney who allowed us to try some cases that were a little bit difficult, but we had a lot of success, and I look forward to continuing the partnership with her to better serve the city She's often said if it doesn't hit her desk, she can't do anything about it. And so that is one of the things that we are going to be working on, is ensuring that we're putting forth the best cases and product for prosecution to ensure that we are going after those individuals who continue to plague our community with these heinous crimes and gun violence. After my time in major crimes, I was promoted to lieutenant, where I oversaw training division along with professional standards. And then at a later time, I was transferred to oversee special investigations, which entailed our narcotics, vice, fugitive apprehension, and also our gang unit. In December of last year, I was promoted to assistant chief of police, and of course, I stand here before you today as your interim city police chief. So I've been here almost 20 years. I'm a homegrown individual. Grew up in Chesapeake, attended Deep Creek High School, graduated from there in 1992, attended Virginia State University, graduated from there in 1996, worked on my master's from there, and at that point got tired of school and came to work. Over the course of time, I've had a lot of opportunities for various training within the agency that has helped culminate my career. Currently, I am a student with Columbia Southern, working on my master's in organizational leadership. I continue to stand on the backs of individuals who've become before me, the chiefs, my supervisors, who've all been instrumental in helping me get to where I am today, some of which are in this room. At this point, I am surrounding myself with individuals who not only do the job currently, but have done the job. In no way, shape, form, or fashion do I have all of the answers. That is one of the fallacies that I think we as the police have made over the years with not involving the community with some of the decisions that we make in the way that we police. We're going to do a better job with that to ensure that the police and the community work better together to tackle these issues that plague us. So right now I'm going to talk on the department. It is no secret that we are understaffed. We are working very diligently and aggressively to hire qualified individuals who can fill our ranks. We are experiencing, just like every other entity, agency, and department across the country and in Hampton Roads, a shortage of good people who want to be the police. Understand that after George Floyd, conversations of defunded police, all of those things have ramifications. And those ramifications are some of the what we're seeing today. A lot of people who were police officers who did this job, some have left to go to other departments. Others just chose to walk away from the profession altogether. That hurts us as a profession. That hurts us as a department. We have to work very hard to attract qualified individuals who want to come in, roll up their sleeves, and make a difference in this community and in this country. And as a department and as a city, we are committed to doing just that. Some of the goals that we have within the department, obviously, the #1 goal is public safety, and we're planning to address that through several initiatives, which I'll speak on a little bit later. Within the department, we have, along with the city manager and her staff, have addressed pay, and at this point in time, we are competitive with other entities across Hampton Roads. But understand, we continue to be in competition with each and every locality, not only in Virginia, not only in Hampton Roads, but across the country. So we have to continue to focus on attracting those folks and being able to offer those salaries and benefits that make Portsmouth a place to come and work and that you want to stay. We're Another initiative that we're going to be utilizing is the use of technology. Myself and staff are looking diligently at technology, things like ShotSpotter, Raven, Flock, license plate readers, and other technologies to help as a force multiplier. In a time when police officers are at a premium, technology has to be embraced to help us put ourselves in the best position to be successful. Accountability. I've spoken with my command staff and have a plan to meet with supervisors on Monday to address some issues, but also to talk about accountability. Let's realize that COVID put us into a situation where everyone, employees, citizens, family, and friends, were basically told, don't be around each other. Police departments, including ours, told our police officers to minimize engagement with citizens. Only if it's a call for service, only if it's egregious crime, do what you can do not to put yourself in a dangerous situation. Understand that those decisions have ramifications. We lost communication with our citizens, with our stakeholders. We lost traction on some of our initiatives, and now we're in a phase where we're having to restart everything over. And I can assure you, we are doing just that. We plan to be visible within the community. We plan to get out of our cars and have those conversations with the individuals that not only are our citizens who want to help us, but have those conversations with those youth and those individuals that are on the fence. They're doing the things that could lead them down the road, but they haven't yet got there. So we want to act as mentors and say, hey, let's give you an opportunity to change your life before you go down the road. I had a conversation with one of my violence interrupters, and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me. As a department and as a city, we are going to work on creating opportunities, because hope sometimes takes too long. And that's what we've been doing, hoping. We're looking to create opportunities for partnerships. We're looking to create opportunities to give our citizens a leg up, to make them competitive, to get them in the workforce, to get them the education, the skills, the resources, the social skills that they need. Again, as a department, we cannot do that by ourselves. Unfortunately, because we are an entity that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, a lot of things over the years have gotten pushed to the police. Some of those things have never been, and probably should have never been, police functions. But I can say to you today, with not only conversations with other department heads, conversations with the manager, the city today is all engaged with bringing everybody to the table to address not only crime, but the trauma that's associated with the crimes that's left behind. Now, the most important part, gun violence. Gun violence is something that has really reared its ugly head, especially during COVID. Nobody can singularly point to anything that is the root cause. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things that we can look at. We can look at poverty. We can look at systemic issues. We can look at our education system. We can look at jobs. We can look at a lot of things. But it all was highlighted during the point where COVID went into effect, and now we're coming out of it, and we're seeing the ramifications of some of the things that we put in place. As a police department, we are committed to addressing gun violence head on. Again, as I said, we cannot do it alone. We need the community to get involved. And some of the initiatives that we're going to be rolling out and discussing are such. We're going to be formulating a database and asking citizens to, if they have citizens and businesses, if you have cameras, to register those cameras with the police department. You don't have to, understand that. But what we're asking is, if we have an incident, in your community, we will reach out and say, anybody that has video footage that of an incident that might have taken place during this time, please let us know and upload it to our system so we can assist, it can assist us with crime. Again, it is a voluntary program, but what we're asking is for folks to assist us with getting eyes and those ears on situations that are going to occur in our neighborhood. Another thing that we're also working on is we are currently, along with other departments, our city IT, and along with the city manager, working on a real-time crime center. That crime center will put cameras throughout our community where we will be able to man and zoom and pan throughout, strategically placed cameras to review incidents as they happen real time that will assist us in getting officers where they need to be. Obviously, Shot Spotter has been talked about quite a bit, which is a acoustic system that registers gunshots and assists us to get to that location hopefully sooner. We continue to review that, but we're also going to review alternatives because of obviously it is a very huge price tag. But we are committed to, again, getting technology such as that to help us as a force multiplier. A lot of the initiatives that were started by not only Chief Chapman and carried on by Chief Green and Chief Prince, they're going to remain. Things like Faith Behind the Badge, our community walks, our reset walks, our Coffee with a Cop. Those things are going to stay, our community enhancement walks. But you also see that we are working with our marketing and director. As you come into the city, we're doing what was coined with making individuals famous. We're putting those individuals that we have deemed to be part of our violence problem, we're putting them out so the community can assist us in hopefully getting these individuals off the street. Let's understand this. Our citizens know our major players that are causing a lot of the violence that happens in our city. I understand that you are afraid and sometimes don't want to get involved. But all it takes for evil to continue to prevail is for a good man to do nothing. And so we need you to reach out to your department. We need you to reach out to an officer that you trust or someone within the city to get that information to us, because it is that vital and that important. As a police department, we are committed to working on our accountability internally. We're going to make mistakes. And when we make those mistakes, as I said before, we're going to be honest about those mistakes and we're going to take those issues head on. But when we get it right, I need the community to speak as loudly as you have when we get it wrong, because our officers need reassurance that you're behind them. I need you to speak loudly and say that you support your men and women of this police department, because Portsmouth Police and the men and women that work in this department are outstanding. Every single day they put this uniform on and they're out here and they work for you. They work to keep the community safe. And I need my officers to hear from you that you appreciate them when you have an opportunity to say so. The last but not least, we're going to be working on some high visibility patrols where you're going to see officers riding through your community, not only with steady lights, but with running lights. That is a measure that's being used across the country, not only to make people aware that we're in the community, but also as a deterrent for crime. We're going to be rolling out what we're going to coin as some driver education, where you're going to see some increased traffic stops throughout the city. Those obviously is going to be an opportunity for officers not only to address issues, but also educate individuals on violations and things of that nature, but It is not all about getting out and issuing a ticket. That's not what it's about. It is truly about education, re-engaging with the public. Sometimes people don't know that they had a headlight out. Sometimes they don't know that the tail light's out. And again, it is an opportunity for us to get out, talk to our public, and be present as much as possible. Thank you.
All right, we're going to open it up for some questions just to keep some order to it. Eugene, if you'd like to go first, channel 13.
Sure, that's great. Let's start with this, just off the heels of what Interim Chief just said. Sounds a lot like a permanent chief there, City Manager Chapman. Is there going to be a search? Is Mr. Jenkins, is this the role he's going to have?
Great question, Eugene. First of all, there is a search process already announced out. I surely hope that Chief Jenkins will apply for the position. I am very pleased with his performance thus far, and we will make that determination when the time comes.
The city council,
Andy, channel 10.
the city council meetings have become, in the words of Mayor Holly, sporting events. On Tuesday, many comments questioning your qualifications for being hired, and you have addressed some of them, called into question why you were hired. Please put into perspective how you felt when you heard all of those comments, and Ms. Chapman, I don't need to tell you, they were all negative, except for one person who said, now I don't dislike you, and then had a but in there. How did you feel when you were being bombarded with all of those very negative comments about you and about your tenure as it is beginning?
Great question, Andy, and I thank you for the question. First of all, like I said, I am honored and humbled to be selected as the city manager. I've watched several council, so I expected the comments to come. I am going to continue blocking out the noise and stay steadfast on the work before me. I am here to lead 22 departments and over approximately 1,700 individuals that work here in the city of Portsmouth, and that will be my for bettering this city and going forward.
Did you feel disheartened, and also did you at some times think, why did I take this job?
Andy, my feelings are not relevant at this point. I mean, I'm here to do the work, and I can stand behind my background and my experience that I am fit to perform the duties of this job.
Sure. So, of course, you're coming into a council that has been pretty divided on almost all issues, including your appointment. So I guess, what's your approach for working with a council that seems to be divided, especially, when trying to seek their guidance for carrying out their vision?
Excellent question. So I have met with each of the council members individually to hear about their aspirations and their goals, and it's my job as city manager to bring those aspirations and goals to fruition. The next steps is to compile a list and get them to agree on what their priorities are, because council sets policy. It's up to us as me as the city manager and our departments to carry out those goals and aspirations. So that's how I will continue working with council. I will treat every member with respect, dignity, and equity.
To follow up on that question, and this is an important one, DeAndre Barnes told us on Tuesday that he would support some type of a retreat to get everyone together, to get away from here, to get out all the noise, bring people together into one room, and to talk about things, to hash things out. He said that he would support something like that. Do you have plans to do that?
I've been working with staff to look at options for a retreat. I have brought it up to members of council, so of course they will make the final determination. Our staff is fully prepared to get a retreat underway sometime in the fall, if that is the desire of council.
I would like to, is there a quick follow-up first? Or?
Just one other question I had. You mentioned, of course, you were part of the recruiting process back in 2021, if that's right. So with the termination of the former city manager and then your appointment, so what happened in that gap? Like, how were you made
I did receive a phone call from a council member asking if I was interested in the position.
Was it Councilman Mark Whitaker?
I'd rather not say which council person.
Okay. First of all, thank you both for holding the press briefing. I interviewed Chief Prince weeks before he was terminated, and he spoke glowingly about both of you. I mean, his quote was, "If Tonya Chapman called me, I would stop and follow her wherever she was leaving. He loved your leadership." And again, spoke very highly of you, Mr. Jenkins. With all that has happened, is there any light to this text message issue, and could that maybe have been overlooked because so many people love Chief Prince? Would you like to speak to that issue?
Thank you, Andre, for the question. Well, so many people love Tonya Chapman also. So, but to answer your question, once again, it is a personnel matter, and I cannot be specific on what has happened. Chief Prince gave an interview. He shed some light. He took responsibility for his actions. It is my job to be able to make difficult decisions. And in light of the totality of circumstances, I made the decision that I made, and I have to be able to, you know, stand on my beliefs.
And as a follow-up, Chief, how do you feel now that you're the interim? A lot of people are concerned that you may not be here long. Will that sway your work in leading the force?
I have no concerns in the way of whether or not I'll be here or not. Understand the thought process as of where I am right now is this police department needs some stability. But I also say that it matters not who the chief of police is, simply because we have competent captains and lieutenants within the department who are the ones that generally run this department day to day. So as the chief of police, we set the guidance and the tone for the way that we police, the initiatives and things of that nature, and will continue to do just that. I hope that the initiatives that we set, that I set, will be sustainable, just like many of the ones that have been set and that are still here today prior to me being in this position. As long as we put solid initiatives forward, regardless of who's here, they generally tend to remain. As for Chief Prince as an individual, obviously I have a lot of admiration for him, and I definitely wish him success in his endeavors. He and I still talk quite frequently, and he continues to be a mentor for me going forward, and I wish him well.
Interim Chief.
Excuse me, Andy, thank you. Ms. Chapman, I'm Rhoda Young, and these questions is from your citizens.
Yes, ma'am.
They want to know, do you think it's fair to any of the city councilmen that came before you, or the ones that may come behind you, that you got such a high paying contract, $200,000 to start off with, $10,000 in housing allowance, and also allegedly, and also a statement for your car allowance per month? They want to know, do you even deserve $400,000 if you should be terminated within a year or two? It's not from me, it's from your citizens.
Thank you, Ms. Rhoda, for the question. First of all, my contract is very similar to every other city manager's contract. If you compare the contracts, some of the benefits are different in certain areas. For example, I did not get a housing cost. I heard the former city manager did get a housing stipend. So, you know, like you said, it depends like any leadership position. You're able to negotiate your contract individually, and they had certain priorities and I had certain priorities. So, like I said, my contract is no different from anyone else. As I read, the salary indication of the job is from 200 to 225. So I am at the low end of that qualifications, well, as far as the range, the salary range. I did not put in or ask for this stipulation, but I am pleased that the individuals that put forth my contract decided to put in that stipulation that if I was terminated, that I would be compensated. So I appreciate it.
Interim Chief, I have a question about camera video and the release of camera video in officer-involved shows like Andre Rawls. 5 times he was shot a few weeks ago. Will you immediately release that camera video, dash cam, and also the officer video? Will you, as a general policy, allow the releasing of these videos for full transparency?
Sir, I appreciate the question. So obviously, as with every investigation, they will be looked at individually. I will not commit to a statement on that, as that we will do that as a policy. What we will do is evaluate them individually as they occur. The situation involving Mr. Rawls currently is being investigated by the Virginia State Police, and we are working in conjunction with them, along with the CA's office, and at this point in time, we're going to defer any release of any material to state police.
Thank you. My question is for Ms. Chapman. Ms. Chapman, when you were going through your checklist of qualifications and checking them off, one of them was working collaboratively with the city council and the mayor. I think some of our viewers hearing that might think you've been fired in the past, you passed by such a slim margin, and they might think you do not have the ability to work collaboratively. How would you respond to that?
Well, first of all, great question. First of all, I was not fired. I was asked to resign, but this was not the council under which I was asked to resign. So this is a very different council at the time, similar to the council that hired me in the first place. So as far as working collaboratively, like I told each member of council when I met with them, I understand that I was hired and there was some consternation around my hiring. But my goal is to work with each and every council member to ensure that their goals are accomplished, and I intend to stay with that. So, thank you.
Chief Jenkins, next question is for you. You're such a great gentleman. You work so hard for Portsmouth, Virginia. Why would you risk over 20 great years of service and step yourself into the seat of Portsmouth, Virginia, Chief of Police?
I love this department and I love this city. To be here, to be around, so I'm gonna be as candid as possible. Lots happened over the course of my time here. Some of it's played out in the media, some of it's played out internally, but Portsmouth Police Department, just like every other department, is a family. We fight, we have issues, just like everybody else. But when the chips are down, there was always, we could always depend on each other. I really would like to get those elements back into this department. I really would like to be an element of change to bring back that brother-sister feel that brought and kept me here for the last 19, 20 years. I am confident that with my current staff that we can do that, and we're committed to getting that done. Whatever happens from that point, I'm good with, because I know where my mind and my heart is and the decisions that I intend to make. So I'm good with whatever happens from that point. Thank you.
Chapman.
Yes.
You know, a part of great leadership is obviously being able to move forward, but a part of moving forward is evaluating what got you there in the first place, right? When you look at what's transpired in the city of Portsmouth that you're now in charge of leading over the last 2 months, between your decisions and even the decisions of some of the council members, what do you think could have been done differently, that you would have liked to have seen done differently leading up to this process?
You know, individuals have stated there wasn't a process. There was a process. The process may have been different this year compared to last year, but there was a process. And the process ended in a 4-3 vote in my favor. That is no different from the last city manager who was hired under a 4-3 vote. So at the end of the day, there was a process determined by council members, and or at least some council members, and the process moved forward. At the end of the day, I am here, and I'm here to serve this city.
But Ms. Chapman, and correct the record if this is incorrect, but for 3 of the council members, you did not even have sit-down interviews with them before you actually were appointed, and that's the difference.
I did not have sit-down interviews with any of the council members. And like I said, council chooses the process. I just adhere to the motions going forward.
Do you think that's led to some of the animosity towards you, that you didn't talk to anyone before you were appointed, and it was done by a 4-3 majority by the 4 that are controlling what's going on in this city?
Andy, I cannot speak to any animosity against me. I can tell you that the animosity started when I left as chief, for and against. Remember, this council chamber was filled for a month in council meetings with individuals wearing badges, reinstate Chief Chapman. So I was very popular at that time, and individuals have intentionally and maliciously tried to sabotage my career ever since leaving Portsmouth. And so that is what led me back here today.
What led to that, you think?
I can't speak to what led to that, Andy.
Andre.
Real quick.
You both mentioned getting into the community and continuing to serve. As you both know, the eyes of the nation seem to be on Portsmouth, particularly. So, as you're going out, could you both kind of talk about your plan to get back out into the community and maybe squash, for lack of a better term, some of the negatives, some of the animosity that Andy mentioned? Do you have a plan to do that, or, Mr. Chapman, or is it a situation like you said, you're going to do the work and just let your work speak for yourself?
Thank you, Andre. Well, definitely, I'm going to do the work and let my work speak for me. But I talked about some of the initiatives to getting back out into the community. Like I stated, like Chief Jenkins confirmed, I brought those community walks and initiatives here to Portsmouth. And I plan to take it to the next level with all of the city being incorporated in those. So I will be out in the community, communicating with the community, trying to get a better understanding of their issues and concerns, and we're going to address it citywide as each individual department is, referenced to what the issues and crimes are. So Chief Jenkins also talked about community initiatives. Our plan is to put Portsmouth on the map in a positive light. I don't want a press conference talking about negativity. And I need your assistance as media representatives to highlight the positives about Portsmouth. And so that's your role in this as well. Thank you.
We're getting near 11 o'clock, so we're going to take a couple more questions and wrap up. So.
Squashing the conflict.
Obviously, for us, it's just about getting back out of the cars and re-engagement. Civic League meetings, several months ago, I had an opportunity just to go to a Little League baseball game, and just walk around and fist bump with the kids. They were happy to see us, and so it is imperative that our officers get out and see that. Here's the other part is when all you do every day is go to call, and everything is negative, and you see people on their worst day. And sometimes those interactions are negative. When that's all you see, sometimes you, even as an officer, as any human would be, you can become desensitized to situations. So it's important for us to get to those community events like our National Night Out, August 2nd. It's going to be huge, and we want this same participation in media coverage for that, because we want to profile the way that we can be as a city, with everybody out interacting with each other, our police officers interacting with the community, and let us see in each other in a different light, not officer, but Stephen Jenkins as a person, not the police officer, police chief, or whatever.
Ms. Chapman, let me try this one more time. You brought up the words highlight the positive. You want us to highlight the positive, but we as reporters, speaking for everyone here, we report what we see. And what we see on Tuesday is a sporting event in the council chambers. More importantly, you can't control all of that, but you can try to control how your council is working with each other. And they are very divided. There's a lot of animosity. You want us to report the positive. What is your message to the council members to say, hey, we want the reporters to show us in a positive light. We need to get together. What is your message to those council members?
Andy, as I previously stated, that I was hired and it's my responsibility to oversee the departments and the employees. It is not my responsibility to ensure that council works together. I work for council, and I will work with each of them individually to ensure their goals and objectives are met, and that is my role.
But you realize that your greatest achievement will begin by bringing this council together to work together, retreat, whatever, to bring them together. That could be your greatest achievement.
And if,
Mark Whitaker said that you have the power, Tonya, to help bring the community and the council together.
and if they have that confidence in me, you know, I'll gladly accept that, and we will work and move forward together as a unity.
All right, Andy, yeah, one more, I mean, because it's getting near 11, so Natalie, Eugene, or Penny, do you have any? All right, go ahead, Natalie.
The timing of your coming in, of course, the start of the new fiscal year budget, you're, familiar with budgets as a, former department head, and of course, this is a collaborative process across all departments. But what's your approach for coming in right at the start of this budget that you didn't put together? How are you approaching that, especially as we continue to have some federal funds coming in, and the council, of course, ultimately decide how some of that is allocated. But what's your approach for handling the city's finances coming right in at the start?
First of all, great question, but reviewed the budget. Like you said, I wasn't here to put the budget together, but it is my job to carry out the budget. So certain things have already been allocated, but we are, and I am, assessing those allocations and seeing if they're appropriate. Are we going to continue down that road? And once I make that assessment, then I'll make a determination on how best to use the funds.
And one quick follow-up. You mentioned, of course, some of the educational qualifications and everything you have for this role, but coming in as someone who has never handled an entire city budget, I guess what guides maybe your decision on assessing how funds are being allocated?
Well, like I said, I have a master's in business administration, so I have the qualifications and experience for budgets. I've been a department head on several departments, and I talked about overseeing the state budget of all of those agencies. So on a statewide level, I've had experience to go before the governor, the secretary, to justify the budget, discuss with department heads, but I have the experience needed to oversee the city's budget. So, thank you.